Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove and I'm back with this week's No Filter Q&A. This is the episode where I answer all questions related to diet, training, and supplementation that I received over the last 7 days from our in-house clients, online clients, as well as a few of our online followers. Remember, if you have any questions related to your nutritional plan, workout program, supplements you're taking, not taking, considering taking, please feel free to email me those questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. All right, let's get started with this week's No Filter Q&A with question number 1. Nick, will it make much of a difference to my physique if I don't train my legs? I don't like training them and usually keep them covered with jeans or shorts. I still walk and play tennis regularly, so would this be enough? Okay, so let's get your first question out of the way here. If you do not train your legs, what's going to happen is you're going to have muscular imbalances. So if you're someone who weight trains, you're in the gym 3, 4 times a week, and you're training your upper body and you're neglecting your lower body, you're going to have these muscular imbalances. You're going to look ridiculous. You're going to have great arms, great chest, great delts, great back, and you're going to have these tiny little stick legs. So it's just going to look stupid. And we've all seen guys with these huge, massive upper bodies and underdeveloped lower bodies, right? It doesn't look good. So you're going to create muscular imbalances. So taking away even the aesthetics component of how ridiculous that looks, what's that going to lead to down the road? Potential injuries, right? Muscular imbalances can lead to injuries. So you have to be very careful about that. If you have weak legs, weak lower body, that could lead to issues of, say, plantar fasciitis, patellofemoral syndrome, potential hip replacement down the road. So you need to train your lower body if you're going to train your upper body. Okay, it's essential. Another thing too, as a man, if you're training your legs are a huge muscle group. So you're going to exert a lot of energy, a lot of force. And what happens when you do that? Your testosterone goes up. What happens when your testosterone goes up? It becomes easier to put on muscle in other areas of your body. So training legs will actually help you build more muscle in your pecs, your delts, your lats, biceps, and triceps. So there's another incentive to continue to train your legs on a weekly basis. Okay. Doing things like walking, tennis, soccer, hockey, sports related, swimming, it's all great for your muscles, but that works your cardiovascular system. Okay. It doesn't work your muscular system. You're not going to build muscle from playing tennis. Yeah, you might build a little bit of muscle, but you're not going to build substantial quality, lean, dense muscle from just playing sports. You need to have resistance. And that's where it comes into training your legs. So barbell back squats, leg press, right? Walking lunges, hack squats, ball wall squats, step ups, elevation lunges, depression lunges. I can go on and on. These exercises are crucial if you want to build an overall quality foundation. Okay. So it's crucial, and I can't say this enough, that you train your legs on a weekly basis. And I'm talking to men here because I know most women train their legs on a regular basis, but a lot of guys neglect that area, or they don't train their legs with the utmost amount of intensity. Everyone wants to train arms. I have a lot of clients, a lot of my male clients, they love training arms with me, but when it comes to leg day, a lot of times they skip leg day, they don't show up, they're hungover, or they just happen to be sick when it comes to training legs. So you have to train your legs, okay? Otherwise, at the end of the day, you're going to look ridiculous. You're going to have muscular imbalances. You're going to lead to potential injuries. Okay. You're not going to build a quality foundation of solid, lean, dense muscle. Okay. So, guys, do not neglect training your legs. I always tell a lot of guys out there, if you don't like training legs, train legs of a woman. Okay. Some of my best workouts, my leg workouts I've ever done, have been training with a female training partner. Okay. Women push their legs hard. So, if you're having a hard time getting to the gym and training legs on your own, find a female friend that you can go with, maybe a wife, girlfriend, or just a friend that you can go train legs with on a regular basis. That does help. Because I find most women really train their legs intensely. So guys, if you want to get the most out of your leg workouts, get a female training partner, train your legs. All right. Okay. Nick, is it even possible to grow a larger butt in 6 to 8 weeks, like so many online fitness influencers are advertising right now? Yeah, I mentioned this last week on the channel with all these time-related promises. I don't like those because everyone has different genetics. Everyone has different physical limitations, right? So you can't say across the board that everyone's going to get fantastic results in 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, that's not accurate. It's misleading. It's clickbait. Okay, so whenever I have a client sign up to work with me, and sometimes people ask me, well, when can I expect to see results? And my first answer to them is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know your genetics. I don't know how much, you're coming to sign up to work with me now, but how dedicated are you to the process? Are you going to miss every second workout? right? Are you not going to push yourself to your full potential in the gym? Are you not going to do everything that you possibly can with your diet outside the gym? So when someone asks me that question, my answer is always, I don't know. Now, if you're willing to work your ass off when you're in the gym with me, and you're willing to dial in your diet when you're outside the gym on your own, then yeah, you can most likely see results in anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks. And I leave that into 4 to 12 weeks because everyone starts at different areas. If you're someone who is 100 pounds overweight, there's a good chance you're not going to see as much muscle density as someone who's maybe only 20 pounds overweight, right? At the same time, someone who's 100 pounds overweight is going to lose weight much easier than someone who's only 20 pounds overweight, right? Because they have more weight to lose. So they don't have to do as much to burn as much, right? So it's all relative to where you're starting at. Okay, so I don't like to make these promises that you're going to see results in 6 to 8 weeks because it's unrealistic. Some people might, but most people don't. So when I see, like what you're saying is these 6 to 8 week booty gains and all this stuff, I mean, listen, that to me is clickbait. Can you grow a butt? Of course you can grow a butt. Of course you can always build a better butt, right? But how long is it going to take? Again, that will depend on your genetics, your lifestyle, where you're starting at, physical limitations, right? Okay. But if you're doing everything correctly, you're in the gym and you're squatting, you're lunging, you're doing your leg presses, you're doing your hack squats, you're doing your hip thrusts, and you're there day in, day out on a weekly basis, making sure you hit every single leg workout. You don't skip leg day. Okay. And that your diet is dialed in, you're doing your cardiovascular exercises on top of that, you should be able to see significant changes with your physique in anywhere from a 4 to 12 week period. And I tell people that with the utmost certainty because I've seen it done. But I cannot tell someone who I don't know what they're willing to do, how much work they're willing to put in, how much time, how much effort they're willing to put into their workouts, into their diet, what they can expect. Okay. And of course, it's going to come down to genetics, and that's, unfortunately, I mentioned this last week on the channel too. Genetics plays such a huge role. So yes, if you're a white woman, you're probably not going to develop as big as a butt as, let's say, a Brazilian woman, right? I mean, you might, but chances are you probably won't. Okay, but you can still build a great butt, right? Just like you can still build a great physique with the genetics you have. And that's why I always tell people, don't compare yourself to other people. Some people just have better genetics than others, right? You might have better legs than your friend, but your friend might have better arms than you. It's genetics. So work your ass off, stay consistent, stay dedicated, and see. You might even get results faster than 6 to 8 weeks, but you truly don't know until you put in the utmost amount of work, intensity into your workouts, into your diet, and you're consistent and you're dedicated to the process. All right. Nick, what do you recommend people do to stay motivated to go to the gym and train on the days they feel tired, depressed, or just frustrated with lack of results? Um, okay, so in scenarios like this is why, again, a lot of people have personal trainers, right? Because I can tell you right now that if you were to do a poll with most of my clients, they would tell you that if I weren't at the gym waiting for them, there's a good chance they'd probably skip their workouts. They wouldn't go on their own. So a lot of people who are feeling tired, unmotivated, even depressed, don't want to go to the gym. This is why they have a trainer. Okay. It's for the accountability. Okay. So if you can't afford a trainer, I'd recommend joining a group class. Okay. That also helps with accountability. If you can't afford a group class or you don't like to work in a group setting, find a workout partner that will hold you accountable for your workouts. Not someone that's going to skip workouts as well. You need to find someone who's just as dedicated as you are to the process. Okay, this is crucial because there are going to be days that you are going to feel tired, and there are going to be days that you're not motivated. There are going to be days that you don't see results of your physique and you don't want to go to the gym, right? Or there's going to be times where you're going to want to go to the beach instead of to go to the gym, or you're going to want to go out drinking with your friends instead of the gym. So there's always scenarios that can happen. And my recommendation is to work with someone who's going to hold you accountable for your workouts. Okay. If you are someone who is self-disciplined, for example, I feel like I'm a fairly self-disciplined person. I don't talk myself out of missing my workouts. And that's taken a lot of years to develop that mentality, though, is that I don't allow myself to talk myself out of my workouts. It's easier, though, in a sense for me because I work in a gym, right? So if I have a cancellation, I'm like, you know what, I have an hour here. I can do a shoulder workout, right? I can do a leg workout, and I will, even if I'm tired, because I always know that within the first 5-10 minutes, even though as much as I don't want to be in that workout, for me, after those initial 5 to 10 minutes, I'm in the zone. I'm fine. I'm ready to go. And some of the workouts, I've had this with a lot of people I work with, some of the workouts that people come in and tell me they're really tired, they're drained, they're not feeling well. Sometimes those are the best workouts, right? They've had a shitty sleep, and for some reason, the workout's amazing, right? Could be adrenaline, could be just a number of factors, but they get in the gym and they're in the zone and they're getting new PRs. So my recommendation is to work with someone that will hold you accountable. Like I said, a trainer, a group class, or find a friend, because that really will help keep you on track with your goals. In my earlier years of training, if I didn't have a training partner, I swear I probably would have missed at least 50% of my workouts, because there were times I did not want to go to the gym, but because I had a training partner there that was waiting for me, I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to let her down, right? So whomever I was training with, I made a promise to that person that I was going to be there. So I treated it just like any business meeting, any personal training session that I have. I didn't allow myself to talk myself out of it. Okay. But now that I've been able to develop that self-discipline and treat it just like any other appointment in my day that I will not miss, I'm there regardless. But I understand for a lot of people, it's hard to get to the gym. Okay. So that's the reason why I recommend hire a trainer, join a group class, or find a friend or family member that will hold you accountable for your workouts and you can train with on a regular basis. Okay. Nick, I've been traveling for the past 4 months and did not go to the gym at all during this time. As a result of poor eating and drinking and not working out, I've put on 14 pounds. How long do you think it will take me to lose this weight if I'm training with weights 4 times a week? This is a difficult question to answer because I'm not working with you in person, right? So if you're working with weights 4 times a week, what are you doing during those sessions? I mean, just going to the gym alone is not enough. So I'm going to assume that you're going to the gym for 45 minutes to 60 minutes lifting weights intensely, following a bodybuilding type training split, which means incorporating a lot of drop sets, supersets, pyramid sets, giant sets, circuit training. So I'm going to assume that you're doing very intense 45 to 60-minute weightlifting sessions in the gym. But what are you doing outside the gym with your diet? What are you doing with your cardiovascular program, right? There's three components here. There's the weightlifting, there's the cardiovascular training, and then there's the nutritional component, okay? So all those three things have to be perfect for you to get down to that weight loss goal of, in your case, 14 pounds, okay? Do they have to be perfect every day? No, you can have a rest day. You can have 2 rest days a week, but you have to be consistent with your training. You have to be consistent with your diet, and you have to be consistent with your cardiovascular endurance training as well. So typically what I tell people is they should be aiming for that generic 1.5 to 2 pounds per week weight loss goal, okay? I know it's a generic theory, but it does work, okay? And I find that when you do that, you're able to keep the weight off. Whereas people who lose, I mentioned this last week too, people who are losing like 1-2 pounds a day following these crazy extreme fad diets and weight loss programs, they put the weight all back on as soon as they come off those programs. So you want to be able to take the weight off in the most easiest way possible, right? So you don't want to be struggling, right? And that's why I say, as long as you're just consistent to your training and your diet, and you're not going for 2 hours of cardio a day, and you're not in the gym for 3 hours a day, and you're not following a 600-calorie diet, you're eating a lot of calories, good calories. You're in the gym for 45, 60 minutes. You're doing 20, 30 minutes of cardio on top of that. That's nothing too extreme. You should be able to get down 1.5 to 2 pounds per week, okay? I can't tell you how many calories to eat because, again, I'm not working with you, so I would need to know what your base metabolic rate is. I would need to know what your current body weight is. I need to know what your activity level is, your gender, your age, and all these other things I plug into a formula to figure out how much macronutrients I should be giving you per day on your diet and what I should be doing with your training program. Okay. If you do want to work with me, I work with people both in-house and online by designing a customized nutritional plan and training program that can allow you to get to that next step with your health and your physique. Okay. But like I said, if you're aiming for that 1.5 to 2 pounds and you're doing everything, like I said, the training, the cardio, and the diet, 14 pounds, I see no reason why you can't lose that in 7 to 8 weeks, right? But that's up to you. And that really just comes down to the consistency and the dedication that you're willing to put in to your training, diet, and cardiovascular exercises. Okay. Nick, I suffer with chronic pain and my RMT suggests I take up weightlifting. My question is, are there any exercises I can do that won't make my pain worse? Most of my pain is throughout my back, shoulders, and back of my legs. This is a good question because actually I've had quite a few people come to work with me over the years under the suggestion of their RMT or their physiotherapist or their doctor because they are suffering from chronic pain. Sometimes it's severe arthritis. And, the first thing they say to me is, I don't understand how weightlifting is going to make this better. In fact, they think it's going to make it worse. But what happens is with weightlifting, there are so many different exercises that you can choose from, and there are so many different muscle groups that you can hit, and there are so many different angles and planes of motions and range of motions that you can stimulate different muscle fibers from. So I always tell people there's always an exercise out there for you for every muscle group. Some people can't do barbell back squats. Maybe they have a hip injury. They could have, like I said earlier, plantar fasciitis, patellofemoral syndrome. But you know what? They can do ball wall squats. There's some people that might not be able to do a barbell bench press because they've got rotator cuff problems. But you know what? They can do a dumbbell bench press because there's more mobility and more flexibility in a dumbbell movement. So again, this is where it comes down to working with a personal trainer that can actually program, or sorry, I should say, customize a plan specifically for you and find out what you can and cannot do in the gym due to your physical limitations and in your case, chronic pain, right? I promise you though, because I work with people who suffer from I have 3 people on my roster who have osteoarthritis and they're able to weight train, okay? And they thought they would never be able to weight train. Okay, so there's so many different exercises out there that you can choose from. And I promise you that you can put together a training program that will work for you. And in many cases, this actually will, just like your RMT says, will help alleviate a lot of the pain that you're experiencing. Because again, the stronger your muscles are, the less work that your joints and tendons have to do, right? So I work with a lot of people who come to work with me, they suffer from knee pain. I'm like, well, if we can strengthen your quadriceps and your hamstrings and your glutes and your calves, your knees are not going to take nearly as much weight bearing when you're walking or running outside or when you're playing sports, right? So it's important to strengthen those muscle bellies, okay, and not neglect them. So I would agree with your RMT and you want to get yourself into the gym. My recommendation though is to work with a personal trainer, at least for the first few weeks so that he or she can put together a program specifically for you. They might want to start you off on some machines, some cables, some exercises that are non-weight bearing. And slowly as you progress, back and forth, you communicate and say, how do you feel? No, I feel pretty good. Oh, actually after that workout, I felt really even more sore. So they can customize a plan specifically for you. And then you can take that plan and follow it for a few weeks to months and then go back and take a revised program from your trainer again. Okay. So I understand that chronic pain can be very frustrating and very, unmotivating to go to the gym because you're dealing with chronic pain, chronic fatigue all the time. But working with a professional can make all the difference because he or she can put together a plan that's customized specifically for you, your physical limitations, your health history, your age, your lifestyle, your gender, and so on, right? So my recommendation, get in the gym, find a trainer, someone who's experienced, knowledgeable, reputable, preferably someone that maybe you have a friend or family member that can refer you to, okay? So you can trust their judgment. And yeah, I would go from there because I do think it can make a huge difference and help you with your chronic pain, chronic fatigue. Okay. Nick, I've hit a plateau with my weight loss and was wondering if you recommend increasing cardio or decreasing calories to your clients when this happens. I don't want to lose muscle, but I want to keep losing weight. Yeah, so again, this is more of a individual based answer, right? So typically when I am working with someone on a weight loss plan, okay, and they do hit a plateau, and as I mentioned in the past, everyone hits a plateau, myself included, we all hit plateaus. In a case of weight loss, basically your option is, do we drop your calories or do we increase your cardio? Okay. Now, what I'll typically do is I'll take a look over the diet plan that I'm giving the person and I'll look at the cardio plan I'm giving the person. If I'm only giving someone 15 minutes of cardio a day and I've got them on like, say, 2,500 calories, I might say, you know what, keep your diet the same for this week. Let's go up to 20, 25 minutes of cardio a day. And just that slight bump in cardio will get the metabolism going again. Okay. And they'll be burning more calories, exerting more energy, and now they're down another pound. Okay. Now, if I'm giving someone, let's say 45 minutes to an hour of cardio, and I'm giving them 2,500 calories a day, in that case, I might drop the calories. So you know what? We're going to take that 2,500 calories down to 2,200 calories for the next 2-3 weeks. And then typically they'll go down again. So it really depends on how many calories I'm giving them, or as most people know, I don't count calories, but macronutrients. So if I'm giving someone, say, 300 grams of carbs per day, I might take that down to 200 grams of carbs a day and keep the cardio the exact same. Or I might keep the carbs at 300 and increase the cardio by 10 minutes a day. So it really depends on the person I'm working with. And sometimes I actually will even, talk about it with the client and say, what do you want to do? What realistically do you want to do? Are you hungry? And then they say, no, Nick, I'm stuffed. I can barely eat all the meals that you're giving me. I'm like, okay, great. Let's cut the calories down a little bit here, right? Or if I'm going to say to them, like, can you do more cardio? And they're like, yeah, no problem. I can easily do another 10 minutes of cardio. Give it to me. So I'm like, great, let's keep the diet the same. Very rarely will I do both. I won't increase cardio and drop calories because then we get to that plateau again, right? And I don't know what to do because now I've dropped calories and I've increased cardio. Like I'm shooting all my bullets in the air going into a gunfight, right? So I want to do things very methodically. So how I do that is I'll take one thing down, but keep the other thing the same. And then what I might do is eventually bring that thing down, but keep this one the same. So, like I said, it's a process and you have to be patient, right? But I promise you, the more patient you are, and if you're not in a rush to lose the weight, you will keep the weight off. I know I said this earlier, but it's so true. So don't be in a rush to lose the weight. You want to make sure that you are, like you said, only losing fat, not losing muscle. And as I've mentioned time and time again, losing weight is easy. Anyone can lose weight, but losing fat while preserving and building muscle, completely different strategy. Okay, you have to approach your diet, you have to approach your training very differently, okay, very methodically, very strategically, right? You can't just start cutting calories and doing hours of cardio because you will lose muscle, you will lose water. Yeah, you will lose some fat, but at the risk of losing muscle and water. So why do all that, right? And put in all that work for nothing. So that's my recommendation is that you have to assess both your diet and your cardio and say, okay, realistically, can I cut my calories? No, I'm pretty hungry throughout the day. Okay, keep your calories the same, but then you're gonna have to increase your cardio. Or you can say, you know what, I don't want to increase my cardio because I don't have enough time in the gym, I don't have enough time in my day. Okay, well, take out 300, 400 calories a day. And all of a sudden you'll watch that weight starts to go down again. Okay. Okay. Nick, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight in my lower body. I've cut my food portions back and I'm doing 90 minutes of cardio a day, but haven't lost an inch off my lower body in the last 4 weeks. Would you recommend fat burners at this point? And if so, which ones are the best ones to take? Um, before I'd recommend fat burners, I'd recommend cutting your cardio back and increasing your calories. And I know that might seem completely counterproductive, but I promise you, when I do that with clients, 9 times out of 10, it works. When you get to a point when you're doing too much, as in too much cardio, you're going in too much of a caloric deficit, your body's exhausted, it's drained, and it's holding on to fat now. It's stressed. So you need to relax your body. And in cases like this, I'll even tell a client, I need you to take 3 days off the gym. I've done this with clients who I'm prepping for shows and they're getting 2, 3 weeks out from the show. And I've had people go, are you crazy? We're getting closer. What do you want me to stop doing cardio? I'm like, yeah, don't do cardio for 3 days or go have 2 cheat meals tomorrow. And what happens is their body just relaxes. Your body is so stressed because you're going through this process of going through this extreme cardiovascular 90 minutes per day, and you're watching your diet, severe caloric deficit, and all of a sudden you hit that plateau. And now you're like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to do more cardio? And like I said in an earlier question, drop your calories more? That's not going to work, right? So once you hit this wall, back off. Give your body 2, 3 days. You've gone into burnout. Your body's most likely overtrained. Take 2, 3 days off the gym. Don't do any cardio. Relax a little bit on your diet. I don't say completely shit the bed on your diet, but I say, go have 1 or 2 cheat meals and just sleep. Let your body sleep, get rested, get hydrated, and then approach it the next, in 3 or 4 days. Go back to what you were doing, and you'll see all of a sudden your weight starts to drop again. Okay. Now, as far as where the weight comes off, I mentioned this last week on the channel because someone had a similar question about the lower body, and another woman had this question. We can't choose our genetics. So where you lose your fat is where you lose your fat. Some people lose the fat off their upper body first. Some people lose the fat off their lower body first. As I mentioned last week on the channel, most men I work with, they typically lose fat off their lower body fat first. And women typically lose fat off their upper body first. Okay. A lot of this has to just do with hormones and genetics. Okay. So again, you can't choose your genetics, but it's not that the fat cannot come off your lower body. It's just that's the stubborn area on your body that's holding on to fat. Okay. And that could just be because you have more fat cells in your lower body than your upper body. But if you're doing what I'm telling you to do and back off the weights, back off the cardio, ease up on your diet for 2 or 3 days, then go back to what you were doing before, you'll see that you start to drop the weight again. And if there's no more weight to lose on your upper body, guess what? It's going to come from your lower body. It has to, right? That's where it's going to come from. Okay. So my recommendation is to, when you hit a plateau like this, ease off the gas for a bit. Okay. I know it seems counterproductive, but I promise you it works. I've done this numerous times with people in the past. I did it for myself for shows. And once your body's relaxed, you're feeling good, you're feeling hydrated, you're feeling well rested, watch the weight fall off again. It works. All right. Next question. Nick, what's your opinion on a carnivore diet? Not to be, sorry, what's your opinion on the carnivore diet? I can't read the rest of your question. Sorry, not to be in, okay, well, I can't read the rest of your question. I'm sorry, but what's my opinion on the carnivore diet? Okay. Well, as a whole, I'm not a big fan of the carnivore diet because I don't believe in having just one source of food to consume throughout your entire nutritional plan. Okay, so the problem with consuming a meat-only diet, there's not enough fiber. Okay, you need to get your fiber from your vegetables, from your fruits. You're neglecting that fiber, right? So that's not good. Okay, and there's also been studies that show that increased intake of red meat can lead to things like colon cancer, right? So that's another problem with the carnivore diet is, you got to watch because it's very hard on the digestive tract consuming all this meat. And red meat is very hard on the digestive tract. That's one of the reasons why I'm not someone who really consumes too much of it on a yearly basis. Okay, so you have to watch that. Also, you have to look at the sodium content of all that meat you're consuming. Right. So if you're consuming things like bacon, for example, loaded with sodium, that could lead to heart disease. So there are problems with this diet. I feel like the carnivore diet is one of those extreme diets. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, I don't think it's a diet that's sustainable. Number one, and I don't think it's a healthy diet. If you're going to follow any fad diet, I was talking about this with a client earlier today. My recommendation, Mediterranean diet. That's basically the diet plan that I give people, actually, for the most part. I mean, there's a few things that I don't include on my nutritional plans that they do include on the Mediterranean diet, but for the most part, the Mediterranean diet is actually very good. Okay, so if you are going to follow a fad diet, that's the fad diet that I would recommend you follow. Okay, but like anything, my recommendation truly is to follow a customized nutritional plan specifically for you, right? So if you are someone that likes to have dairy, you can still have dairy, but you just have to learn where to put it in and when not to put it in. Okay, and what types of dairy you can use and what type of dairies you probably shouldn't use, right? So like 1% cottage cheese, I don't see anything wrong with that. You want to have some skim milk? Go for it. You want to have some Greek yogurt? Have it. So it's not that all dairy is bad. It's just you have to be selective with what type of dairy that you consume. Should you be consuming blocks of cheese on a regular basis? No. But I mean, should you be consuming homogenized milk? Absolutely not. But again, it's just being strategic with where you put these foods into your nutritional plan. So I don't advise people to go on these crazy fad diets. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the carnivore diet. There have been studies that can show it can lead to increased intake of red meat, can lead to risk of colon cancer, heart disease, right? So these are things you want to avoid. And to do that, you don't want to be consuming meat all day, every day. Okay. So limit your meat intake. Don't consume large amounts of meat. That's my personal opinion. And I'm sorry, I can't read the rest of your question, but feel free to send it back to me again and I'll answer it again next week on the channel. Okay, two more questions. Nick, I've heard you say that lifting weights doesn't make women bulky, but then how come I see so many women that lift weights that do look bulky? Is just this because the way they train? It could be. Yeah, I mean, a lot of women who are powerlifters who are sticking in that 1 to 3 rep range, you're right. They do develop kind of like that bulky muscle look, right? So that could be one theory, right? The women I work with, typically we keep the rep range between 10 to 15. So we don't try to stimulate just pure strength. I always try to focus on developing lean, solid, dense muscle for both genders. Okay. Another reason you can see women who tend to look bulky that lift weights is because they have a layer of fat covering the muscles, right? So if you're someone who goes to the gym, man or a woman, you go to the gym every day and you're lifting weights, but your diet is not in check, well, you're going to have a layer of fat covering those muscles. So of course you're going to look bulky, right? But lifting weights is not what's making you look bulky. It's your diet that's not in check. Okay. And then you do have a few genetic freaks out there who just the way they put on muscle, yeah, they might look bulky. But in my experience, the women anyway, that tend to look bulky, it's usually because their diet's not in check. They're doing very low repetitions in the gym, as in that 1 to 3 powerlifting rep range. And thirdly, anabolic steroids. That's a huge one. And that's one that's not talked about enough, is there's a lot of women that do use anabolic steroids. So when people talk about steroids, they always assume men only. Well, no, there's a lot of women that consume steroids on a regular basis. So, and I'm not just talking about women that do bodybuilding. I'm talking women that do powerlifting. Got even women that do women's physique, or we're talking even bikini, they do steroids, right? Not all women, but there are a lot of women that do steroids. So steroids can give you that kind of bulky look. But if you are a natural athlete going to the gym, training naturally, and your diet is dialed in, you're not going to get bulky. It's not going to happen. Okay. In all my years of working with women, I don't work with women who use anabolic steroids, number one, but in all my years of working with women who are natural athletes, I've never had a single client say to me, I'm getting too bulky, ever, ever, in 22 years of doing this job. So again, the women that you see who are bulky, I would look at the way that they're training. So like I said, they could be doing that 1 to 3 rep range. So they're just training for pure raw strength, which will form that kind of big muscle, but not solid, lean, dense muscle. Okay, that we know to get that type of muscle, you need to keep your repetitions high, not ridiculously high, but in that 10 to 15 rep range. Okay, so how they train, what their diet's like. Because if you're lifting weights and you're going to McDonald's every day, yeah, you're going to have muscle, but you're also going to have fat. And that fat's going to be covering that muscle. Okay. Their genetics, as I said, there are a few genetic freaks out there who just put on muscle by looking at weights, right? That's another one. And then the fourth one could be anabolic steroid use. Okay. So you don't want to put all women under an umbrella and say, oh my God, I'm going to get bulky and all these women get bulky. It's not all these women. It's a very small percentage of women that get bulky. And like I said, the ones that do usually do for one of those 4 factors I mentioned, or all 4 of them. Okay. But if you are natural and your diet's dialed in and you're training in that 10 to 12 rep range and you're not a genetic freak, which chances are you're not, because there's very few genetic freaks out there, you're not going to get bulky. 22 years of doing this job, I've yet to meet a single woman that I've worked with that has ever gotten bulky, ever. All right. Last question. Nick, what's your cancellation policy? My work schedule has changed and I'm no longer able to work out with my trainer in the morning. She's unable to work with me in the evening after work and is not willing to refund me for the sessions I have not finished yet. I still have 14 sessions left on my training package. Is this common with personal trainers or something that I should speak up against? Yeah, this is something I would definitely speak up against because you booked the training package. Now your schedule has changed and your trainer is no longer able to accommodate your schedule. She should refund you for unused sessions. This is my opinion. Okay. I know gyms and a lot of personal trainers like to lock people into contracts, long-term contracts, especially gyms. Gyms love it when they lock you into like a 1 or 2 year contract and they hope that you never come to the gym because they have more space for people to come in and say, wow, this gym's empty, let's sign up. So gyms love that when people sign up and then they never come, right? They still get charge your credit card every month. In fact, they count on that. I think there was a stat that said it's like 3 out of 5 people who sign up for the gym in the new year will stop going after the February, right? But they're still paying on a monthly basis because they usually sign a 1 or 2 year contract. Now, as far as personal trainers are concerned, if you're talking about independent trainers like myself who run our own small businesses, on my website, I've always said that we will refund all clients for any unused sessions from their training packages. So if someone books, let's say, a 30 session training package and they only use 12 of those sessions, and then all of a sudden they have to, let's say they have to leave out of, they're going to work out of town for a few months and they say, well, Nick, I'm not going to be here for 6 months. Can I get a refund for my unused sessions? Absolutely. I've always said absolutely, but it's never happened. I've never had anyone say to me, hey, Nick, can I get a refund for unused sessions because I no longer want to work with your company or I'm moving? That's never happened. But people know that when they sign up to work with us, they have that option. So they're not feeling like they're locked into a long-term contract. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're locked into a long-term contract. If they don't want to work with us after a few sessions, no problem. You book a 6 session package and you only do 3, we'll refund you for the other 3 sessions, no questions asked, right? And that's good business to me, right? So in this case, I don't agree with what your trainer is doing. Okay. I don't know if your trainer is independent or if she's working for the gym because it might not be her policy. It might be the gym's policy. But at the same time, if you signed up for a package and that package, I mean, I have to go over your contract and see, but I think in all fairness, your work schedule has changed. So now they should be trying to accommodate your work schedule. And if they cannot accommodate your work schedule, refund you for unused sessions. Absolutely. So I think that's bad business. Okay. And yeah, I would speak up against that because, like I said, I don't know your contract. I don't know what you signed, but my recommendation would be to speak to your trainer and say, if you can't train me, can you refer someone to train me? And maybe the package can be transferred over to them. Okay. Because again, like, why should you be paying for sessions that you're not using? Right. So I would speak up. Is it common with personal trainers? I'd like to say no, but I don't know because I don't know how other trainers in the industry run their businesses. I will tell you though, with our company, that's not the way we run our business. So we've always said we will refund people for unused sessions, no questions asked. We do have a 24-hour cancellation policy, which most companies do. We ask all clients to provide us with 24-hour notice if they're going to cancel or reschedule a session. If they do not provide us as 24-hour notice and do not give us a doctor's note for a reason they're canceling that session, we do have to charge them for that session because we're paying ahead for the space. I'm paying the contractors ahead of time. They don't have enough time to find another client. So it's easier to say, look, just give us 24 hours notice and we'll cancel your session, no charge, right? And people understand that. So I would speak up against this. This is bad business ethics in my opinion. And yeah, it's not right. Again, if your contract says otherwise, unfortunately, you're locked into that contract. But I would definitely say something because this is not. Where's the moral compass there, right? It's not good. To me, that's shady. Okay. It shows that not you, but your trainer, the company doesn't have enough confidence in their service that they need to lock someone into a contract. Well, if you're confident in your service, you should say, you know what, I can't accommodate that, but thank you for your business. I'm going to refund you for sessions. And maybe, in a year's time when your schedule changes again, you'll go back to that trainer and say, hey, you know what, I can work mornings again. Right? You never know. Or you could have a friend that you'd refer now and say, you know what, I can't work with my trainer, but my trainer, she's awesome. You should try working with her. But this leaves a bad taste in your mouth because now you feel like your trainer, the company is screwing you over, right? So that's why I've never wanted anyone to feel like they're being screwed over, right? So I don't believe in that. And that kind of frustrates me too, because I know gyms are notorious for doing that, but I didn't know that trainers do that as well. But I'm sure there are a few trainers out there that are just not confident in their services and they feel they need to lock people into long-term contracts, whether or not they're going to come back or they're going to use their services. It's unethical and it's bad business ethics. Anyway, that's it for this week's No Filter Q&A. This episode will be going up on Monday, April the 29th. As a reminder, if you do have any questions related to your nutritional plan, workout program, supplements you're taking, not taking, considering taking, please feel free to email me those questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting my YouTube channel. Thank you for supporting my online business, my in-house coaching business. I appreciate all the support. You guys have a good week, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now.